Hey guys, happy Friday, and I hope everybody had a great week. Today, I want to take a closer look at Nvidia. I want to do my weekly update of all the news we've kind of seen throughout the week, just to kind of do a nice cover up if you might have missed any of my daily episodes. I also do have some new updates that I think investors should be familiar with, so let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So we can see, unfortunately for Nvidia, it was a pretty red day, but it does seem like some of the market was also pretty red. Nvidia was down roughly 2.6%, sitting at $117.93. So I've mentioned it in the past. I believe in the long term of things, at these 110-ish levels, it seems somewhat attractive for small DCA to kind of get one's foot wet in Nvidia stock. This is not a price where I would kind of load up the truck, but like I mentioned, small DCA. Now, another company that I believe is very interesting right now in terms of price is AMD, currently sitting at $151. I think here in the low 150s, AMD is very, very attractive. The other one that I do want to mention, just share my overall thoughts. I know some of you guys can consider my thoughts to be useful. Obviously, I could be wrong here, but MRVL sitting at $66.51 is also pretty interesting. So those are three stocks. If you're focusing in the AI space, definitely keep a closer eye on. If there's obviously other semiconductor stocks, especially those in the automotive space, that I think are attractive, but I'll probably save that for another episode. So today, like I mentioned, we're going to back up to Nvidia. I'm going to start off with some of the bearish things we might have seen throughout the week, or some that we just recently saw. The first is just more insider selling. So we can see Jensen continues to sell shares. The amount of shares is very minimal compared to the amount he owns, but obviously the amount he's selling is a decent amount. So 15 million here we can see in June 13th, but more recently we can see in July 18th he sold about 14 million dollars worth, so it was about 120,000. In July 17th he also sold, July 16th he also sold, July 15th he also sold, July 12th, July 11th, July 10th, July 9th, July 8th. So this can obviously be seen as somewhat of a bearish case, and obviously 120,000 shares here and there don't really make a big deal, especially when Jensen still owns over 864 million shares. So when you look at it like that, it definitely doesn't seem like a big deal. The only thing I would say is, why is he selling so often? Obviously, if it was a one-time sell, many people say, hey, look, everybody has something to do. They need to pay some taxes. They need to buy a new wardrobe. They need to go on a new vacation. But $15 million worth of share pretty much on a daily basis, that's something to consider. Just my overall thoughts, not a reason for me to sell, but just something I wanted to bring up to investors, and would definitely love to hear your thoughts. Now, throughout the weeks, we have heard some negative things about Nvidia. The first is there are reports that the Biden administration is considering more restrictions on sales to China, and this is causing some fear for Nvidia stocks and a lot of AI stocks. I personally believe that right now we've kind of seen a lot of the restrictions on the hardware side for AI chips. I think what's going to happen is we're going to start to see more restrictions on the clouding side. And this is actually a perfect article to kind of showcase this. Right now, for example, Google, Microsoft, and other clouding companies are still able to sell clouding NVIDIA GPUs to China, a market that obviously has regulations. So while Nvidia here is not doing anything wrong, right? They sell to Google, they sell to Microsoft. Those clouding companies are still giving clouding solutions to the Chinese market on restricted hardware. And supposedly the reports mentions that this is legal, but I think if we start to see more restrictions on AI hardware or AI chips or AI solutions, I think it's going to go more on the clouding side to try to block ways like this that kind of create some form of loophole. So this is not something that I would be fearful for Nvidia, but something that, hey, look, if I might be a little bit overexposed to clouding companies, how are they trying to control this risk? If you want to learn more about semiconductor companies, I do have this ebook. The link is on the comments below. I think you should be able to see it on the product here on the YouTube YouTube channel. It has over 50 companies. The great thing is I am updating it, and as soon as the update happens, if you purchase the book now, you will get the updated version in a few weeks. So thank you so much for the support. Feel free to check out this ebook where I talk about a lot of different semiconductor companies. Now, the final kind of bearish point that we saw earlier this week for Nvidia is there are reports that OpenAI is in talks with Broadcom about developing custom AI chip to power their next generation models. So we know Microsoft and OpenAI are a huge customer of Nvidia, and this could be seen as a bearish case. For me, I am not too worried, at least for the first few generations of their chip. Whenever it gets developed, it's going to take some time for them to get to develop these chips. It's going to take some time to produce them as well. So by the time Nvidia's product and hardware is going to be at a whole different level and a whole different type of performance. So nothing that would worry me, at least for now. Obviously, maybe in future generations, that's something we can come back to and discuss. But right now, nothing to worry about. Now, in forms of bullish news for Nvidia, let's start off with price target analysts or upgrades. We did get one on Monday from TD Cowen where they raised their price target to 165 from 140. This week was kind of quiet in forms of upgrades. We did see a lot last week, which we did cover in last week's weekly update. Another big bullish case that we saw this week is where there were reports that Nvidia increases its Blackwell orders from TSMC by 25%, and that the Blackwell is going to be an amazing product for Nvidia in forms of revenue contribution. So that was probably one of my favorite news that we saw here this week in forms of Nvidia, and I believe if these are true, then this is going to be very bullish for the long term for the stock when they come out with their Blackwell product. Now, kind of talking about demand for AI accelerators, TSMC also did share a lot. They mentioned that right now AI accelerators demand is very strong and it is outpacing TSMC's ability to supply. They mentioned that the demand is so high that they are still working very hard to meet customer demands, and they believe the supply will remain tight through 2025. So not only 2024 will be tight, 2025 will be tight, and possibly easing in 2026. Now, on the bright side though, is they are increasing capacity as fast as possible. So every single quarter, in theory, Nvidia should be able to sell more and more chips as TSMC's supply is growing over time. While it's not infinite, it is improving over time. So in theory, Nvidia should benefit every quarter and see strong growth. So I am very excited because it tells me that it is possible for Nvidia's revenue to grow dramatically. Another great thing that we are seeing is TrendForce yesterday or the day before reported that the demand for AI servers is growing on a yearly basis. And we also saw some important numbers. Right now, if you look at just GPU servers, right now, Nvidia has roughly 90% of the market share there, while AMD holds roughly 8%. But when you include all AI chips like GPUs, ASIC solutions, FPGA, Nvidia's market share is only 64. So there's definitely, when I look at that, it tells me, hey, look, Nvidia still has plenty of market share to grow here in the AI server space because there are all these other solutions that they can say, hey, look, yes, you develop your own ASIC solution, but my GPU is way better than that. So instead of creating your own ASIC, just buy more GPUs from us. So I personally saw that as a bullish case for the stock as there's still more growth opportunity for them. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.